Is affordable housing,
From a developer perspective?
just from a
Okay.
social perspective,
Yeah.
is it beneficial in closing the wealth gap?
Oh,
Or does it just keep status quo? You're doing a
yeah.
good thing by providing a service for people,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that is something.
I
It's
know
like
exactly what
it's
you're
like
saying.
welfare, right? Welfare is beneficial. You need
Yes.
assistance,
Yes.
but you're kind of staying at this level,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. You 100% right. So affordable housing in the traditional sense, most people think of Section 8, all of that stuff. But if y'all notice, like for the most part, I do mixed income housing. So I have market rate units in pretty much all of my deals. It may be 60% or 70% affordable. It may be 20% market. And even the affordability is at different levels. It's 30% of the AMI, which is low income at Section 8. You got it at 50, 60% of the AMI, which is typically your workforce. So your barista at the local coffee shop or your teacher, et cetera, they live there as well. But then the market rate folks that may be at six figures plus are also in these buildings. I build in areas that are predominantly market rate. So like the Water Street building that I'm putting up right now, it'll be done really at the end of this month, but people start moving in next month. That building right next door is a ton of condos. Right across the street, a ton of condos. There were 50 people in opposition every single community meeting we had for that deal because they didn't want them around. They thought of like this negative stigma of affordable housing. Again, what I'm doing is mixed income housing. So like the people that are living in that condo can actually live here too if they want to sell their condo and move, and it's just as quality. So when you have a mixed income in one group, that's where you have the different levels of collaboration. It's kind of like EYL, right? Think about InvestFest. There are people super low income, there are people medium income, and there are people extremely high income. That's the melting pot of success. If you just continuously have affordability at this level and below, we never get out of that because you never see, you never learn, you never grow. Y'all are the living example of really the answer to your question. You got to see something to believe in. And if you just keep that concentration of poverty together, no, that is not the answer at all.
This is why you text me. This is why you text me after the segment that we were going back and forth on Market Mondays.
That's right.
And then I was trying, it was kind of like the first thing is like, let's have our basic needs met and then let's be inspired. So I think both points are pretty valid. You did the mixed units, but there's also different types of real estate that you're invested in now. So let's talk about what the portfolio is going to be looking like in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, great question. Diversification from a geographic perspective, I kind of outlined, but to your point, I'm looking at other things. I think development in general right now is down. Like real estate is cyclical. There's 4 cycles. Like we're not in a good one right now. I won't say not in a good one. We're just in one that's historically like bad, right? You just have to know what to do within that cycle. So right now, what I'm really looking at is multifamily acquisitions. Like how do I go? Yes, I got a couple thousand units in my pipeline that I'm developing over the next 8 to 10. That'll take a long time. But how do I buy 5,000 units in the next 5 years? Acquisitions. You can buy that. Like literally the formula on the commercial real estate side, again, is simple. $100 million. I'm getting 70 of debt. I need 30 million equity. I need to bring 3 million to the table. So really through the various platforms and initiatives, we can start to identify that 3 million. So I could bring and find the 27 that can then fund the $100 million deal. From an acquisition perspective, if I can scale that up, it creates a level of balance. Like not just affordability, because developers are very like asset rich, balance sheet's crazy, but like cash poor. I just said it takes $500,000 to $1 million a deal. So if you got 5 of them things, no matter how wealthy you are, at a certain point, it's like my cash is low. But the thing about the value add stuff, I had a friend, Venus, she bought a deal right outside of Atlanta. I think it was 40 million in 2021 and sold it for 120 and like, or 2020 and sold it 18 months later for like 120. So you look at opportunities from a value add perspective. If you know how to underwrite them and look for the right things, there's class C and D properties that really need the same level of care that some of these new developments are getting. You go in, you put in the rehab money, you go fix it up. Now it's a B plus, A minus. Now you're cranking out income equivalent to the new construction stuff that's out there at a fraction of the cost. So the value here is probably just less than the value there, but your basis for getting in is here. So that spread is yours. So I'm really looking at it from like that perspective, from a multifamily acquisition play, developing some studios in Atlanta. Hopefully by the time this comes out, I can make a formal announcement, but two really, really big, partners in conversations with their industrial. That was one of the best asset classes in the pandemic across anything. I mean, didn't matter, stocks, bonds, real estate, don't matter. Industrial real estate was toe to toe with anything else you put up there. So when you look at that, it's like, okay, regardless of anything that's going on in capital markets, this specific thing is booming. And for production in Atlanta, it's the new Hollywood, right? Like literally it's the new Hollywood. They have a 30% tax credit. If you do $100 million production in Atlanta, you get 30 million back. That's why they're there. So from a development perspective, my partners, Egbert and those guys, they developed Third Rail Studios. Ended up selling it and whatnot, but The Rock's movie Rampage was filmed there. Ozark was filmed there. Like, that's the quality of productions that'll be coming out of these studios. So studios, I think, is a huge opportunity in Atlanta. It'll get saturated in a little bit, but right now it's time to strike.
So what about the Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant? What's that deal?
So that's the Birmingham, man. That $370 million that they put, it was from the federal government. So last time we did a deep dive on tax credits, but I think this time we should definitely highlight this fact. I won a $50 million grant. Granted, it was a team, but when I did that interview 2.5 years ago, I didn't know I could win a $50 million grant. I had no clue that there was a $50 million grant exists that Brandon Rule could be a part of. But now it's like, oh, I do. So the Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant is that 50 out of the 370. It was the highest one we got the biggest check. Some people got 50, some got 40, some got less. But it allows you to redevelop these communities. And when I talked about the capital stack earlier, on the community development side, the value is here, but the cost is here. That 50 million plugs in that delta. It's a grant.
Where's the grant from? The state?
Federal.
Federal?
Yeah. So that's when Secretary Fudge came down, brought the check. Federal government, every year they put it out. They just actually announced yesterday that they have, I forget the exact number, but they're putting out, I think it was 250 or so million.
So how can people find grant information? Like, how can you even know?
Google Choice, that specific one, Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant. They have a planning grant too that cities typically go and like, that's up to 500,000 where they pay different consultants to put together their plan. But that 50 million is huge.
Yeah. I mean, and relationships, again, like you said, the fact that the mayor knew the Secretary of HUD and the fact that the Secretary of HUD looks like us helps.
Absolutely.
In 2 years, that might not be the case.
It's time to strike, or at least learn, because in 8 years it might be the case again.
Exactly.
But you'll be prepared once you put yourself in that position. Like, my preparation really is what's manifesting itself into what we are starting to see today. Like, if it wasn't for me doing those tax credit deals, I wouldn't be able to do this master plan stuff. But I know how to do each individual deal. So now when I'm putting together 7, it's like, I know how to do each individual one, but let me put together the plan for the 7. Now I got integral and partnerships to be able to help streamline that process too.
Prepared yourself for the moment.
That's right.